You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome. There's something in the air, the dream of life in love, the minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time will somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the farce revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. This is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts, from close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens. healing all the hearts. Ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever. The secret is whenever. The secret is together we are.
Welcome, welcome. Good morning from CSL St. George. We're so glad you joined us on this last day of April. It's a beautiful morning. So who are we? We are an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. Our mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. So today's service team lineup. Okay, we have Marina Anderson in the back, making sure everything runs beautifully and brilliantly. I'm Gwen Hadley. I will be hosting and also providing the reading. We have our multi-talented writer, singer, everything guy, music, Alan Stanley. We're glad he's joined us. Sue Fulmer will be doing her invocation, and she is a practitioner in training, so soon to be part of the A team. So we're so happy that she's doing the invocation. And then we have 4 of our Fab 5 practitioners who will be giving the message. And I hear from sources that they are plugged in. So stay tuned for that. And now, Mr. Stanley, good morning.
Hello, Gwen. Hello, everybody. Am I plugged in? Can you hear that? Here's a little laid-back song. In silence, you can sing along or hum or... No. In the silence, there is a sacred place, a sacred meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow wins, good is there. In the light, now you'll find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there, peace is there, truth is there, spirit's there.
Thank you. Please join me in affirmative prayer. We take a collective breath and we recognize the presence, that sweet spirit, that power, creator, God, all that is, surrounds us, is in and through us. And I feel that today and feel that spirit within me. And I know that that spirit is in and around all life, all creation, all of us. And I realize today that we are so blessed in joining together online to share this philosophy and the camaraderie of CSL St. George. I recognize the service and the sweetness of the practitioners that are serving CSL in our community. We love them and are grateful for their prayerful service. Bill, Chris, Mary, Star, and Anita. And we know that this service will go as planned and will send out rays of light and guidance to each of our lives that are listening, and to the community of St. George. I know that our senior minister, Joe, and his family are with us in spirit and heart, and that they are preparing, as Spirit has prepared, the perfect job and home for them to be our neighbors in St. George. And I see CSL St. George sending a bright light out to this community, bringing in all that are wanting the light that we share. I have such gratitude for this philosophy, for the camaraderie, all the love and opportunities we share together here. And I send my word to the law, knowing that the law of love acts upon it, and it is done. In gratitude, we all join in saying, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Gwen. I'm sorry, Sue. Thank you. In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow ends, good is there. In the light, now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. God is there.
Thank you, Alan. So my reading today is from Guide for Spiritual Living, Science of Mind. It's April, and it's written by Molly Kate Brown, entitled Following Your Heart. Vulnerability is being who we really are, leading with the heart's narrative and not the narrative of the analytical mind. It's the courage to open up and share what's actually happening. For those who are secure and comfortable in their own skin, vulnerability is natural and normal. These people tend to have long-lasting and close relationships. But for those who aren't as comfortable being who they are, vulnerability can be terrifying. Within the integrated whole being we have parts that take up varying degrees of space at different times. These parts often originate in our formative years, if not before. One part may have a terrible fear of rejection. Another part may feel stupid, and there be another part that doesn't ever want to rock the boat. Depending on where we've lived, what we've lived through, there may be some parts of us that believe something's wrong with me. I'm bad. I'm mean. So it makes absolute sense that depending on how loud the voices are and how much room they take up, being vulnerable is frightening. But what we pay attention to grows. Most of us also have a part that knows our goodness, our worth, connection, wisdom, and love. As much as possible, give that voice more airtime. we can allow this wise voice to parent the other parts, letting us safely feel the terror and fear. It is a great act of courage to feel the discomfort and fear and be vulnerable anyway. This is how we cultivate the heartfelt intimacy and connection that are the brilliant flowers in the garden of life. By dropping our defenses and being willing to be seen, we invite a depth of relating that unfolds us and holds us, healing the places where fear once lived. And so it is. Ellen, it starts in the heart.
It does start in the heart. Thank you, Gwen. That was great. So now you get to sing along again. I won't sing. I did a sound check with the crew earlier today, and I don't think I'll sing that song I did. But we'll do this one because it does start in the heart. So just sing along here, please. It starts in the heart like a warm summer breeze, gently at first like the wind in the trees. Oh, it moves you until you can see that it starts in your very own heart. The feeling you want is more near than you know. It's not to be found in the places you go. It only resides in the depths of your soul, and it starts in your very own heart. What is most real is what you can feel. What makes it start is an opening heart. It starts to move in as you feel your heartbeat. Opens the door to a world eyes can't see. But where it all longs to be. And it starts in your very own heart. What is most real is what you can feel. What makes it start is an opening heart. It starts to move in as you feel your heartbeat. Opens the door to a world eyes can't see. Such where we all long to be. And it starts in your very own heart. It starts in your very own heart. Your very own heart. Sorry. I just had to do that.
You had to do it. You had to do it.
I had to do it.
Wonderful. And so our global theme this whole month has been living out loud, the power of vulnerability. Today's talk is entitled Power and Possibility. So I think top of the list, I think Anita's going to join us first.
Hi, Gwen.
Good morning.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. The St. George CSL practitioners are in the house, and we're glad you are here. So as Gwen mentioned, today you're going to be hearing from 4 of our 5 licensed practitioners, including myself. My name is Anita Sheff. I want to thank Sue for the beautiful invocation today, and we are so excited that she's soon going to be a part of our practitioner corps. So I'll start us off with a brief recap of what has been discussed about the subject of vulnerability so far this month. Reverend Joe began the April talks with defining and aligning, and he defined vulnerability as a state of emotional exposure that requires us to take some risk, being open with others about our thoughts and beliefs and feelings. And we heard that allowing ourselves to be vulnerable is a necessary step toward cultivating authentic and meaningful connection with others. Then in the second week, Reverend Joe spoke about creeks and canyons. And these are all the obstacles that get in the way of us being willing to be open with others. The two most common things I think that get in our way are fear of being judged and doubt about our own worthiness. But we can move past those barriers if we're willing to really examine them, to go deep and recognize how they keep us closed off from having more fulfilling relationships. On the third Sunday, we had the pleasure of meeting our guest speaker, Reverend Raymond Anderson, and he spoke about letting go and letting in. He began the Science of Mind with this Science of Mind core concept of wholeness, which includes all the things we love about ourselves and our life, as well as all the things we would like to hide or deny or erase. Accepting every person's wholeness allows us to participate in a strong, healthy, supportive community of people who work together to bring about positive change for all. Then last week, Reverend Joe spoke to us on seeing and being seen. To truly see others, it means that we recognize everyone as spiritually perfect, innately divine. And that's the meaning of Namaste. When we allow ourselves to be seen, we create a safe space for people to feel accepted and comfortable in being themselves. So today, as the practitioners speak about power and possibility, you'll hear how the collective practice of vulnerability within communities supports the Centers for Spiritual Living global vision. We talk a lot about that global vision. It's probably our most important document because it guides our purpose in this world as Centers for Spiritual Living. So let's take a look at one little statement from the global vision that relates to today's message. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other, a world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. And now we're going to begin today's discussion with practitioner Chris McCardle.
Good morning, Anita, and thank you. That was beautiful. It's interesting that Anita brought up the monthly or the weekly topics that we've been discussing this month. And as a practitioner, I've come to realize that each of these week's lessons actually open up my mind and bring me into a place where I start observing the lessons themselves. And this month, every week, and I'm glad Anita brought up each of the different topics, I literally experienced all of that. I became vulnerable. I became authentic. I opened myself up. I spoke my truth. And it's a really neat process that we do. Each month, these themes, they just sort of, as a practitioner, and I hope that all of you out there are in the same kind of mindset as a practitioner, but we take them in and we really look at them and we apply them in our lives. And so I'd like for Marina to bring up the first slide, and it instills a lot of power within us. And the first slide mentions, where does power come from? And by being authentic, it allows us to show up as ourselves, our true selves. And it gives us that gift of living out loud. And by doing that, by being our authentic selves, it just creates this openness for people to step in and for you to be expressive. And the true strength in it all comes from when we're able to share our emotions and our feelings by being authentically vulnerable. That authentically vulnerable is so true, because it just kept popping out at me, because I'm always kind of vulnerable and I'm very authentic, and I have no fear of sharing who I am. And however, I've been realizing while people are working with authenticity and being vulnerable, even though they're sharing stories, I can kind of sense that they skirt away from a lot of it, a lot of the actual truth or the seeds of what really is creating something uncomfortable within them. And then once we find that true strength and we're able to share the emotions and feelings by being authentically vulnerable, we find an awareness where we begin to see the change and the transformation. And that's what has occurred for me personally this entire month. I just started seeing the truth of who I am. I became vulnerable. I shared things that I was holding on to. It was painful. It was hard. It really, and still, I still to this moment feel very vulnerable. And I am still working through it. And so, Marina, if you could bring up the next slide. So what all this does is it creates possibilities, and you get to experience the change happening, and the barriers that you feared or the truth that you were holding on to of your own stories or stuff inside, it starts to begin to dissolve. And as it does that, we just start recognizing that there's actually more work for us to do. And then in the situation where the possibilities show up, we create new connections with new viewpoints in our hearts and minds, and allowing doors to open into our own awareness. In other words, when I'm vulnerable and I am able to share with you who I am and that I am suffering, and at times in my life I've experienced depression, and when I open up to that, it allows you, my friends and my family and my community, to be aware of what's going on with me, and it opens new conversations, new connections, and you might have a different viewpoint of who I am as a person, and that in itself builds a better relationship. And then we come to understand that what has been becomes new. All of that stuff from our past become new. They become alive, and then they become entrenched in the creative energy of the universe, the creativity that allows me to be more supportive of you to be more supportive of me. We together collectively are more supportive of our community. Our community sees what we're doing and the work that we're creating, and it's an expansive awareness of our lives. So for the next slide, which I will close with, is it came from Mark Nepo, and it reads, "The sweetness of living comes to us when the very humanness we regret and try to hide, our seeming flaws and shameful secrets, are worked by time and nature into a honey all of their own. Ultimately, it's where we are not perfect, where we are broken and cracked. And this is where the wind whistles through, and that is the stuff of transformation." And I had a little issue with us not being perfect, because we always talk about being whole, perfect, and complete. But with this vulnerability and this authenticity, it's what I had to come to terms with. It's the perfect imperfections. And I love that. And that leads us into our next practitioner, Star, who's going to be speaking on transformation. Welcome, Star.
Thank you, Chris. That was beautiful. I love how we all do this separately, but everything comes together so perfectly.
Yeah, when we work ourselves, we spread the good.
Yeah,
we share it.
Gorgeous. Hi, everyone. I'm Star. And today I'm going to talk about the transformation part. And so I'm going to read these quotes right here, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, so timeless wisdom, it's been going on for eons, and we know this. Like Wayne Dyer, change your thinking, change your mind. Or Lao Tzu, if you correct your mind, the rest of your life will fall into place. Or Yeshua, who is my term for Jesus. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
And of course, our own beloved Ernest Holmes. In our We Believe statements, we believe the ultimate goal of life is complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. Now, there's a quote also by John Donahue: in sheer vulnerability of nothingness, everything becomes possible in a new way. So these alchemists of the spirit, they don't seek physical wealth, but spiritual wealth. They seek to transform themselves into more spiritual beings by becoming more loving, wise, and compassionate. When we have the capacity, or we do have the capacity to transmute negative elements and fears into courage, anxieties into peace, hatred into love, on this earthly plane of existence, we have gathered to practice our mastery. So, true spirituality to me is an experience of personal vulnerability, willingly passed through, that touches the edges of the imperturbability of God. That is that presence that is ever present, that never changes, that is within us. This idea is throughout the teachings of the science of mind, and why I included the We Believe statements in the slide. What I've done just recently, maybe in the past month or so, is taking all of those We Believe systems and turned them into I am statements that I read to myself, which makes them more personal for myself. So I took one aside, like this one on the slide, and I said, like I am in me is the ultimate goal of life, and it is complete freedom from all discord of every nature. And this goal is sure to be attained by all. Now that takes the judgment out of myself and everyone else that I see. And I noticed that as I walked around, and I went, oh, that's what I believe. That's what I'm choosing to believe. Cool. So it's an inner transformation that changes my life and the world that I see, and it makes all a unique expression of the one mind. Now, recently, we've heard a lot about AIs, whether we trust them or we don't. I feel that the reason why we're so skeptical about them is because deep down we know that feelings matter, and our fear is deep down. We have become sort of an AI inside, where we're on autopilot and we don't like where we're headed. We're stuck in a loop and we don't want to feel that way. And it's ongoing and we don't know how to get out of it. So we know that there's a law of cause and effect, and feelings are the instrument panel of the airplane we fly that we call life. Feelings are the catalyst to change. Be vulnerable. They are guiding us to the truth. So be the hero of your own movie. Be curious and be in the pilot seat, landing in the wish fulfilled. I learned from my brother, whom I call Joshua ben Joseph, things rarely go as planned. So my mantra, a lot of the times, is I of myself know nothing. Now, this opens me up to infinite possibilities. When I let go of self-interest, it opens me up to these infinite possibilities and my authentic self. Then everything out there is my mirror. It's my instrument panel. Jean Houston had a saying that I thought was pretty cool that the Reverend Joe sent out to us. And at the height of laughter, the universe is flung into a kaleidoscope of new possibilities. How much fun could that be? I listen a lot to deep thinker podcasts,
And Michael Beckwith was on one just the other day, and he talks about living from the land of it's already done, not going to it on some trajectory that I think is coming in the near future, but right now. Being present is being honorable to that fulfillment. And honor is our responsibility, to honor ourselves, to honor those around us. So I am being transformed to the truth, and it's fun, joyful, creative, and present in me now. Thank you, brother, sister, life. Thank you to the law of being. Thank you, God's self. So I'm going to close with a poem from a friend of mine, Faith Spina. She's on Facebook, and she's a friend of mine from Kauai. And she wrote a poem called Metamorphosis. And I thought, oh, this is a good one. This lands in me. I am unlearning myself, unwrapping, uprooting, revealing, unnerving, discovering, unearthing the true me, which the small I believed was not real, not wanting to feel layer by layer the remaining shards of my ego's armor crumble to the ground. How profound. Scattered, tattered, battered and shattered, only to see what wasn't me. The caterpillar was only a mere stage of evolution on the stage of life, full of strife, walking small. Now I'm 100 feet tall. How do I possibly embody this untainted essence into the quintessence and hold this true presence? I surrender my process to the authentic goddess within. I allow her to lead, give her permission to feed my soul. Yes, she knows how to flow, how to grow as the wind blows. Now she can fly with wings in the sky. No need to die. She's truly alive. That lifted me so much and took me to a place where all the places I had been and the reason why I am here is transform and remember who and what I really am. And so I invite you to do the same. And now I would like to introduce Anita again, who's going to give us some practical applications.
Dara, those were wonderful insights. Thank you so much. And I'm going to share with you how practicing vulnerability has been working for our practitioner corps recently. I'll give you just a little background info. It was just 13 months ago that 5 of us came together and committed to creating a cohesive, active, and supportive practitioner corps. Prior to that time, we were very loosely connected, and we didn't really identify as a core group. And so when we came together, we shared our common desires to enhance our own spiritual growth and to support each other and be supported and to enjoy camaraderie and particularly to serve our CSL community more effectively. Since that time, we have had regular monthly meetings as well as occasional special gatherings. And I know I speak for all in this when I say that the ongoing commitment and participation and enthusiasm of the practitioners has been extremely rewarding. So we begin each practitioner meeting with an invocation. And then we like to take time to check in, just to see how everyone's doing, what's going on. And in the past, I would encourage everyone to answer the question, how are you really? But that extra prompt doesn't seem to be necessary anymore, as we have become more naturally open and authentic in our sharing with each other. So a couple weeks ago, we got together on Zoom for a regular monthly meeting and to plan how we would present today's service. And as we proceeded with our check-in, we discovered that each one of us had some significant inner turmoil going on, and it wasn't pretty. It was like we were sharing a virus. And afterwards, I realized that it seemed like Spirit was providing us an opportunity to do more than just talk about being vulnerable, rather to experience it firsthand. And we all kind of recognized that. And so we agreed that we had just been part of a real life demonstration of how it feels to practice vulnerability. And so we decided we should share that experience with you. I wanted to avoid making any assumptions about how the rest of the group felt. So a couple days after the meeting, I contacted everyone and I asked 2 questions. One was, did you feel vulnerable in sharing, and tell us why it did or did not feel risky? And number 2 was, how did you feel after you shared? So including my own responses, the answers to the first question, it was unanimously, yes, I felt vulnerable. And the reasons that we gave for feeling some degree of risk were fear of being judged, fear that someone might take offense, nobody wants my opinion, I'm not smart enough, I was sharing something I hadn't yet told anyone, and I don't normally share personal details. So you can hear the risk and the fear there. In response to the second question, how did you feel afterwards? And this was the real beauty of the experience. We said, I felt heard, understood, safe, supported, accepted, reassured. I was not alone, hopeful, positive, optimistic, unburdened, and more peaceful. My friends, that is the payoff for establishing a safe place for people to authentically connect with each other. And we can create this together in our spiritual community. So I'm going to introduce our final speaker, and I pass the baton to practitioner Bill Smith. Bring us home, Bill.
Thank you, Anita. All right. Well, as we've been talking about vulnerability over the past month, we've talked about a lot of different aspects of vulnerability. What's the benefit of it? What are some of the pitfalls? What does vulnerability really mean? But one thing we really haven't bridged is how to become more vulnerable. How does that actually happen in our real life experience? And I thought it might be helpful to try to do that today with a guided meditation. So I invite you to sit back in your chairs or on your chaise lounge or however it is that you're enjoying today's service, and relax. And kick your feet up if that's how you do it. But if not, plant your feet on the ground. Soften your eyes. Think about the alignment of your spine and your neck and your head, and bring those in alignment, although not rigid, but just relaxed. Allow your shoulders and your hands to relax. Put your hands in your lap if that makes you comfortable, but just allow the tensions to drain from your body. Think about your facial muscles. Is your jaw clenched? If so, allow it to relax. Are your eyes pinched? If so, allow them to just fall naturally and relax. Focus on your breathing. Long inhales, short pause, and then exhale. Long inhale, pause, exhale. One more time. Long inhale, pause, exhale. Now I'd like you to bring your attention to your heart center. Bring your attention to that center of your chest. And imagine, if you will, that you're descending into your heart center. In your mind, you're working your way down from your brain into your heart. And there's a light on in your heart. And this light illuminates everything. So you can see exactly what is going on in your heart. And as you approach your heart center, you see a door. And this door leads to a room. And you know that this room is a safe place. You've been here before. And it is always a safe refuge for you. So without hesitation, you open the door to this safe room in your heart center. And you're familiar with this room. And you know that it is decorated exactly as you see fit. Whether that's soft cushions or a big overstuffed couch, artwork on the walls that is pleasing to you, nice soft lighting, and you feel comfortable in this room. And you feel safe in this room. And you know that in this room are all of your emotions. And you're in a safe place to pull these emotions out one by one as you see fit and examine them. All your emotions are here. Whether it's the emotions that we like to show everybody every day, our joy, our happiness, our exuberance for life, they're there. But what's also there are these darker emotions, the ones that we often don't feel like we want to share, like the emotions that sometimes we feel like we have to hide from the rest of the world. They're all there. And they're all a part of me. They're all a part of you. So knowing this, I would like each and every one of us to think back to the last time we had the opportunity to be vulnerable. To the last time we were given that opportunity to show our true, authentic selves. And we decided not to. Think about that time. And think about which one of these maybe dark emotions caused us to not go there. What was it that stopped us from saying, I will be completely vulnerable and authentic today, in this situation? What was the dark emotion? Was it a fear? A fear of being judged? A fear of being seen as something that we have not shown before? Was it just an inability to open up? Was it an anger? Were we angry about something? Were we protecting something in ourselves or in someone else? Think about that emotion that kept you from being vulnerable. And in this safe room in your heart, this is exactly the reason this room was created. So we can pull out these darker emotions and look at them, not in a judgmental way, but we just be with them. We don't have to do anything to these emotions because they are an integral part of us. There is nothing to be done but just to recognize them and be with them. And just this being alone with our emotions, it reduces the power of these emotions. It takes that power away and allows us to see them for what they are, as powerless things, and allows us to move on. And so as you have looked at that thing, that emotion that kept you from being completely 100% vulnerable last time, now you know that this emotion has no power over you. And as such, you're able to move on. And so as you move on, I ask you to take a look at this emotion one last time and thank it for being an integral part of your life. Exit the room in your heart. Proceed back up from your heart space, back up to your consciousness. And I invite you to softly open your eyes, come back to the room. Authentic. Now that we're in a fairly relaxed state, I'd like to close with affirmative prayer. Knowing that we're in the presence of the one, that one power, that one presence that is everywhere and in each and every one of us. I know that this presence, this power that I call God, has certain qualities that make our lives, my life, perfect and complete. And one of these qualities, as we've been talking about vulnerability all this month, one of the qualities is that ability to be authentic and vulnerable. I know that this is an active quality in me, and I know that as I am part of God and God is part of me, that this is activated in every step of my life. And as we are all one, I know that this is an integral activity and action and quality in each and every one of our lives. I know that as we proceed in this life, in this world, we want to do so in as authentic a way as possible. For we have learned that this is the true path forward. This is how we are an expression of God. And as we express as God, authenticity is the only path forward. And that is the state in which we grow. And as we grow and as we expand, we bring others into our lives. And as we bring others into our lives, they are given the opportunity to benefit from our expansion and our growth and our wisdom and our godness. So I just know that this continues for each and every one of us as we move forward. And I just release my word to the law of God, knowing that it is all good and it is all done. And so it is. Amen.
Ah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Chris, Anita, Star. What a beautiful presentation you delivered. Very, very moving. Just a couple of announcements. Our community care circle is still very active. You see the phone number on the screen if you need to connect with someone, if you need a card, if you need whatever, please reach out to them. Prayer requests. Oh, and I think you got a better look at to who our practitioners are today. And they are so willing to pray with you, to pray for you, whatever you need, please reach out. They are a true blessing to CSL St. George. Our conversation will continue on Zoom. Please join us at noon. Details in the newsletter and on the website of how to join. And then exciting news, our first, in over 2.5 years, in-person service on May the 14th, 11 o'clock. It will be in person. And for those of you not able to make it, of course, it will be virtual. But we just so look forward to this. What a blessing to find a temporary home this has been. We so appreciate you joining us and to step into the flow of abundant prosperity. There are many ways you can support us. Zelle, of course. You can give online to PayPal. You can click the little QR link in the bottom corner, or you can give by mail. However you give, it's so greatly, greatly appreciated. Upcoming Sundays, Reverend Joe will be back with us after he took a break today. We'd like to give him a little time off whenever we can. So we were grateful to do that and that the practitioners were able to pinch it. So, and then the following one on Mother's Day, May the 14th, join us live and in person. So now Marina's going to pop us all up so that we can do our closing affirmation.
Yep, Gwen, we're going to share in doing our closing affirmation together. This is so fun to do this every week. And here everybody is.
Just like magic, they're just popping up in front of us. Oh, wow. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it. I embrace it and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is becoming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for being here with us today, everyone.
I'm going to go open up the Zoom meeting so you can come join us.
Okay.
Yes.
Happy Sunday, everybody. We love you.